All right, I'm going to talk about mollusks, not the squid because I have to fix those pictures, but the rest of them. So Mollusca is the phylum. They are also protostomes, like all the stuff we're looking at today. They have a muscular foot, and they also have a mantle, we'll see. Many of them have a shell. Some it's internal, some have lost the shell, some it's an external shell. And there are three groups: the Gastropoda, it's a phylum. A class, the Bivalve, and the Cephalopoda. So we'll go through them in turn. You can see examples of each of them here. So these guys are Cephalopoda. We have actually a different one, a Placopoda. That I don't think we need to know that. And then we have Gastropoda, Bivalve, Gastropoda. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to point out was that these guys have pretty well-developed eyes, particularly the Cephalopoda. This is gastro. This is gastro, and these two are cephalo. And the octopus also counts with the squid. So well-developed eyes. The cephalopods actually have a pretty extensive nervous system. And so that's the kind of characteristic that's more unusual about this group in general. So there's the Mollusca and the class of Gastropoda. That's going to be your snails and your slugs and your abalone. So here are some examples. Here are some snails. They have their external shell. They have the foot, and that's what they walk around on, or crawl around on, anterior, posterior. They do have a shell. This one's kind of small. Usually they're larger where they can kind of curl up inside of it. Here's an example of a shell that would have had a gastropod soft tissue inside of it. This one's a lightning whelk, which is the state shell of Texas. It's actually carnivorous. Some of these just eat algae, but this one eats bivalves, so clams, mussels, oysters, scallops. It's not going to eat all those, but it actually can attack them and eat the bivalve. So those are some snails that are gastropoda. That means poda is foot, and gastro means stomach, like gastronomy, that fancy cooking thing, or gastrointestinal, GI doctor, that kind of thing. So stomach. So gastropods have a stomach foot, which is all connected together. Part of gastropoda is also this abalone. We talked about this, that, you think that it's going to be a bivalve because it's a shell, like a cup shell, but it's not. It doesn't have a hinge. It doesn't have a bump, really, here. We call that the umbo, the bump. That's a classic bivalve structure that doesn't have that. So it doesn't actually have a second half to the shell. It's abalone is how you say it. And this one's a red one. It has real pretty secretion called nacre. All the secretions are called nacre, but this is a mother of pearl looking one. This is where they get mother of pearl from, problems with overfishing because of that sometimes. And this would be the nacre secreted by the mantle, which in our clam dissection, we'll see the mantle. It's a tissue that will secrete the shell. So they make their own shells, not like hermit crabs, where they go find shells. These guys are going to make their shells, and they have to stay in them. They also actually have other organisms that grow on their shells, including barnacles, which are crustaceans. So this is the barnacle shell. It would be inside of that. And there's some information about them here if you want to look up the abalone. So that's a gastropod. It would have the soft body of the organism would be underneath here, and it actually can pull itself inside and hold on really tight to substrate. So pretty good protection, actually. Then we have the bivalve. So those are going to be our two shells, and we call those shells, the halves, valves. So bi means two, so there are two valves, two shell parts. They don't open and close that much. They can open, and they'll stick their foot out. They filter feed, and by taking water in, they're not super motile, but they can move a little bit. Sometimes they do open, like scallops will open and close to kind of swim backwards in like a propulsion kind of way, but generally not moving around unless they're escaping. So here's a clam model. yeah, I'll go through some of these things and then we'll go through them on a real model. So the first thing we notice is the umbo. Umbo is going to be more anterior. So actually the umbo is the dorsal side, the back side of the clam. The opening, oops, the opening here, this would be where the valves come together. That's going to be your ventral side, the belly. So anterior is going to be where your umbo is located. It's not in the middle. And it's also where the foot structure is. Posterior is going to be where the gills are, away from the umbo. And so you'll see here, this is what they had to cut through when the dissection occurred. These muscles would attach to the shell on the top or the valve on the top, and they are called adductors. They keep the shell closed. They're very strong muscles. So we have an anterior adductor, posterior adductor. You'll also see the foot, I said. They have the gills. They're real feathery. You're going to see the intestine. The intestine is kind of set sort of inside the gonads. So all the yellow stuff here is gonads, meaning reproductive tissue. They do have males and females, separate classes or separate groups. So it just produces eggs or sperm. And then the intestines, of course, prior to getting to the intestines, you go through a stomach, which is a pocket we're going to see. And basically that's set inside a digestive gland, which looks sort of greenish, pea greenish. And that's going to be where you secrete the digestive enzymes into the stomach to break down the food before it goes into the intestine to be absorbed. And then before that, we have the mouth to get into the stomach and the little esophagus. And these are labial palps. They help the food get into the mouth properly. Really, we're not going to open our mouth or open our valves to eat. Actually, that comes in, the liquid or water comes in through these entrances in the posterior siphons. It'll come in and filter across the gills. The gills get oxygen out of the water as well as trap some food particles, send those food particles over to the mouth, and then it goes through the digestive system and comes out the anus and is released through the excurrent siphon. So I guess incurrent here, excurrent there. And the liquid would be pumped out as well, the water. We have in this cavity here, we have the heart. That's the most important thing to notice at that point. And open circulatory system, so the heart does pump, but then it opens up. It's not the blood, hemolymph is not completely contained inside vessels. It bathes the tissue, and then the deoxygenated blood would go back into the kind of other vasculature, vein structures, back to the past the gills, pick up, you see, past the gills, pick up some oxygen, then re-pumped back around the body. So it's an open circulatory system. And that's true for the gastropods as well. Open circulatory. Complete digestive system. Decently developed nervous system, particularly the cephalopods, which we'll see next. So here's our clam. This is, you're going to see the nacre, the secretion from the mantle. That's the mantle. Of course, it's actually a whole tissue piece. You can see it underneath here. It's on the other side. So the mantle secretes the shell, the nacre part, or of it really. Here's the umbo. You see there's one on each valve. They'd actually be attached together at this hinge ligament. That's where it opens and closes. We see when we open up, first off, the gills. Pretty prominent. See them here as well. And what else you're going to notice is there's this little part here we'll see more prominently. It's the foot. It's real tough. There are our adductors, so that's the anterior closer to the umbo, posterior away from the umbo. The siphons would be coming in here. There's the gills on the other side. So I think I have, here you go. See, gills on the other side. This is the labial palps actually. So the gills look like this. Respiration, as well as sort of food capture. We have in the back cavity here the heart. So there's actually a membrane covering it. They dissected that away. And so here's that heart. It's going to pump the blood around and then release the blood into the cavity, open circulatory system. This is the visceral mass. That's where all the kind of internal organs are located. And there's that foot again, and then the visceral mass. Inside the visceral mass, we cut that open, and what we see are a couple things. So we'll see the mouth is here, actually. Then that goes into the stomach cavity here. The green gland, not the green gland, sorry, that's in crayfish. The digestive gland, just the digestive gland is the stomach sitting in the middle of that kind of, and so this is this tissue, the darker tissue is the digestive gland, makes enzymes that can hydrolyze macromolecules. Then that would empty into the intestine. You can see it kind of snaking around here. You can also see it nicely here. Of course, this is a cut through of it, so we don't see the whole thing. And then that would come around and then go out the backside. The posterior. Let's see. There's another view of the heart. The adductor, anterior, posterior muscles, gills, mantle, secreting the nacre. We also have, there's the foot, a nice close-up of that. And there's that mouth again, the heart. The digestive gland, stomach, I think this is the kidney. The intestine is set inside, just like the stomach set inside digestive gland. The intestine is set inside the gonad, so all this other kind of tissue that's not intestine is gonad tissue. They do have males and females, so they'd have different kinds of eggs or sperm being produced. And then again, this is the heart. The intestine doesn't have anything to do with the gonad tissue, it just happens to be in it. And then you have your muscle. You guys can pause this and look at this if you want to, or I guess look at the PowerPoint. And it's pretty much the same setup. This is just a clam, and that's a muscle, two different bivalves. Okay. I think that's all I have for the clam. And then I'll talk about this minus the squid, the cephalopoda, which are head, foot again, of course, and then cephalo is head. Encephalitis is when your head swells up because of pressure, so cephala is the head. So those are going to be our octopuses, just these guys, and squid. We have nautilus and cuttlefish are pretty much our group there. So some of them have internal, external, and no shells. So the cuttlefish, the nautilus has a shell outside. The octopus has no shell. And then the squid for sure, and possibly the cuttlefish, have internal shells that are kind of reduced. So cephalopoda, this is our octopus example. You see it's quite an enlarged head. The foot is modified into the arms, and then they do have tentacles. Usually they have two of them. That's going to be for food capture. The arms are also for food capture and movement and defense, sort of. They have suckers on them. They have closed circulatory system that's different than the bivalves and gastropods. And they're very active. They swim actively, and so kind of makes sense to have a closed system. It's more efficient, so that way, if they're using a lot of oxygen from their movement, right, because the muscles move, you need to make ATP in order for that to happen, which means you do cellular respiration, which means you need food intake to get glycolysis going, particularly, carbon source. And so also need oxygen at the end of the electron transport chain to take away the electrons, make water. And so you need more oxygen if you're moving a lot. And so the circulatory system is more efficient if it's closed to a large degree. I just saw these. I wanted to show you this. This is from the California Academy of Sciences. I visited there. You should go if you get to go to San Francisco. It's cool. So this is a lady with a scientist with an octopus. Giant octopus.
He's full grown, so he's probably about 4 years old. I've had him since July. He came from Vancouver. The water's outside British Columbia. This water's really cold. They stay in captivity better in colder water, so it's 49 or 50 degrees. He's being very friendly. He's crawling out of the water a little bit, checking out what's going on. arms meet is where his beak is, the only hard part of his body. Inside there, where all the suckers come together, and it's about the size of like our macaw beak. Oh, there we go. We got a really good color right now. Really dark red.
Yeah, so we just saw him change color with his chromatophores, and that's really pretty amazing. You can watch the end of the video in the beginning. We also have this about intelligence. Octopuses are extremely intelligent, and it is octopuses, not octopi. It's a Greek-derived word, not Latin. And so the octopuses are extremely intelligent, and they're probably the most intelligent invertebrates, well, definitely. Highly developed eyes, as well as nervous system. And then you'll see why they did some studies about these guys.
The octopus is widely regarded as the world's smartest invertebrate, and now a new study adds evidence to that claim. In the December 15th issue of Current Biology, scientists report a case of remarkable tool use in the veined octopus. While doing field work in Indonesia, they observed octopuses gathering empty coconut shells, walking across the sea floor with them, and then assembling the two halves of the coconut into a shelter. Smart indeed. While the definition of tool use is not universally agreed upon, the authors argue that since the coconut shells are collected for future use and have no function until they are assembled, this behavior qualifies as an unparalleled case of invertebrate tool use. It differs from, say, a hermit crab, which uses its shell at all times. This is yet another entry on the impressive resume of the octopus, the Einstein of the invertebrate world.
So pretty cool there that they can do things like that. And this would be where that beak is. Well, we'll see it in our squid too when I get those pictures up. So Cephalopoda includes the squid as well.